What's up, everybody? Yeah? Yeah! Look at us, we're out. What's up? Oh, you uncrossed your arms and clapped for a second. Yeah! That's good, that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a little, I don't mean it. So good to be here, I love it. This is a beautiful club, and then for some reason they added that onto the stage. I love it. I don't know what it is. I think it's the thing the pizza guy hid from Home Alone. Remember that thing? It just... and constantly brought back up. Between this and the logo, I love it, because it makes no sense. What is that guy? He's just like desperately trying to hold on to the word hilarities. Yeah, put it down, man. Put it down. Me and this thing, just judging my shoes. I love it. So good to be here, man. It's I love this part of downtown. It's pretty much all of Cleveland that I know. Is this section. My hotel is 500 steps that away. I'm in that arcade thing, which is empty during most of the time, which is terrifying. I don't know if you've ever stayed at that hotel, but you wake up at like 9 a.m. and you're like, I'm gonna get a coffee, and it's just you walking through there. I hate this. And then when you want to come do the show, there's just high school, they like ship high school kids in there. When do you guys do prom? Like, when is that? Every time I come, it's like high school kids in ball gowns just taking photos there. And I'm like, prom is later. What is this? Are you marrying off the teens? Is that what you're doing? Get over there, stand on those stairs. Have this man take a photo of you. It's weird, and all of it was weird. I came down to do the show, it's just like 1,000 teenagers taking ballroom photos at the arcade. Then I came over, and you could just, like, it was crazy busy in the alley, and you could tell who was going to what show, you know? Like, there's a show going on at House of Blues, so it's just you guys and then a bunch of cold goths. Just waiting to go into the House of Blues. Just frigid God. It's like, trench coat goes with that outfit, you know? Get a trench coat with that. Man, goths are never prepared. Aren't, like, it's a cool outfit, but it's built for no situation. It's built for 5 minutes of any evening of just one photo where you're like, and then the rest of the time, it is cumbersome. It's either freezing or it's too hot and you're covered in leather. God forbid you have to pee. Have you ever seen a goth at the airport at TSA where you're like, did you think any of this through? They're just unlacing their boots starting at the thigh, and you're like, good God, get pre-check if that's how you're gonna do it. Coming in with the Kiss boots. But yeah, it's very nice. I like Cleveland. It's very nice. When it's not busy, it's nothing out there. Like, you guys are gonna leave, and then there's a late show, and when that leaves, the town shuts down, and then I just have to make that walk by myself with my camera, just walk. It's 500 steps, but there's just a couple people out there. And they yell stuff, they yell. You guys have, I'll give it to your homeless people, they will be heard. There's no subtle, like, do you have any change? Hey! Hey! And it's just me and him. I know he's talking to me. How am I supposed to ignore him? You know? I can't. Then I'm turning around, he's already got his phone out, showing me a picture of him in the military from the 40s. And I'm not saying it's not an accurate photo, but I'm doing the math, and I'm like, I think you're supposed to be 100. If you were 20 in the 40s, I think you were 100 years old. How are you doing? I'm like, it's crazy. I got dropped off. I flew in Wednesday night. I landed at midnight, and they dropped me off at the hotel, and there's a homeless lady. There's no one anywhere on the streets except for one homeless lady just in front of my hotel. And I'm like, damn it. And I get out of the car, hey! And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm just out here. I'm at the homeless shelter. I'm like, I get it. Do you want some cash or something? She's like, yeah. So I pulled a 10 out of my bag, and she goes, thank you. And I go, of course. And then she just left. Like, I think I watched her clock out for the night. Like, she needed $10 more, and she's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, what were you doing? How did you know I was coming? Were you slipping the front desk lady $5 to be like, is anyone else checking in for the evening? You're like, yeah, I got a guy coming at 12:30. He's got a migraine, but I'm telling you, he's coming in now. I'm looking at his photo online. Looks like a sap. Looks like he'll give up easy. Just hand it over. But yeah, been having a wonderful time. Got to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yesterday, which was awesome. I was planning on going there. It was awesome. I love it. I like it. Some of you clap. Some of you are like, yeah, it's there. I feel like, I don't know if you guys are with your town the way I am with my town, but in San Diego, there's a bunch of San Diego stuff I've never done. And when people are like, oh, have you been to the and I'm like, yeah, but I'm just lying. And then they tell me more about it, and I think they can tell I've never been, but I'm not giving it up. I'm like, yeah, the seals. You gotta watch out for the seals. They'll take a finger right off, I'll tell you. That's how it felt when I brought up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where you guys were like, yeah. But I got to go, went with Brad and my other buddy, Jeremiah. I was gonna go anyway, and then there's like an employee that works over there that's apparently a fan of mine, and was like, hey, do you want a VIP tour? And I was like, well, yeah, that's awesome. We just saved money on entrance. We didn't have to pay to get in, and they gave us a VIP badge, but the person that was a fan, wasn't the guy that gave us the tour. So like the guy that gave us the tour, I don't think he could tell which one of us was the guy. You know what I mean? He was just like, yeah, come on in, I'll show you around. And he just kept telling us how many more important famous people he'd given this tour to. And then it put a lot of pressure on me, because I felt like I had to be extra, you know? Like, we went down in the vault, he showed us like jackets, he showed us Elvis's like military jacket from when he was in the military, and we were like, oh, that's awesome, can we take a photo of that? And he's like, absolutely not. Because the flash is gonna make this jacket disintegrate. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's why we lost so many in the war. Those clothes were not built for any kind of... We had bad material back then. They had a flash from the... I'm like, I can turn the flash off. They're like, no, we can't take the chance. And so we're just standing there looking at this jacket. My buddy Jeremiah is like, can I smell it? And I was like, what? And the guy holding the jacket, like he'd been asked this question a million times, was like, of course. And he put it up a little bit, and I watched my friend lean in. And I'm like, what are we doing right now? And then later he pulled out Bob Marley's beanie, and he was like, Marshawn Lynch wanted to smell this. And then we were all there, and I'm like, I'll smell it. Yeah, bring it in. Because I didn't want to let him down, you know? He'd given so many tours to so many more important people. Like, he pulled out these notes of like lyrics written by artists for famous songs, and he pulled one out. He goes, you guys are gonna love this. I showed this to the lead singer of Weezer, and he looked at it for 20 straight minutes and was just mesmerized. And I'm like, ah, damn it. And he put it on the table, and I didn't recognize the artist or the song. So I'm just trying really hard, like, wow, dude. Na 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 na. He wrote down all the na 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 nas, didn't he? Wow. Oh my God. Are we done? Oh. I am so glad I brought friends. I am so glad that wasn't a one-on-one tour, because they really filled in a lot of the gaps, you know? I don't have a lot of questions. Like, if it was me and that guy one-on-one, I would just be a lot of silence and me just awkwardly going, so those are his pants, huh? And him just going, huh? Those are his pants. It was fun. But it's cool. We walked all around. My buddy Jeremiah's got a big mouth on him. Like, we saw Billy Idol had his motorcycle up there, and he goes, man, Billy Idol's so overrated. And there was a guy looking at the motorcycle. He was like, what the hell? And I was like, what if that was Billy Idol? Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is one of the rare museums where if you say something insulting about one of the artists, there's a chance that they could be right behind you. Like that's not gonna happen at the Louvre in Paris, you know? You're not gonna be over there like, Rembrandt was a blowhard, and then you turn around and he's just over there with like, I don't even know what he would say, but you know. Probably something douchey. I think Rembrandt. What if I find out you guys are just huge Rembrandt fans? And he was from Cleveland, did you know? I'm like, I didn't know. I like Rembrandt. He did a lot of good stuff. But we had fun. We had a really good time. I love it. It's been coming to Cleveland many times, and it just gets better every time. I was thinking about going to the baseball game yesterday, but I didn't because it was cold. And so I went to a bar and we watched the game on TV, and I was like, oh, no one else went either. So that worked out. That was nothing out there. I wonder, that must be so nostalgic for those players. They're like, oh, this feels like Little League all over again. Nothing but a couple of our parents up there going, you're doing great, you know? And I do love baseball. I'm a new lover of baseball. I think baseball's awesome. I think, I like the energy of baseball. I think America was better when baseball was the #1 sport. I think it was more chill. I think because baseball's chill. There's like 1,000 games, none of it matters, you know? Like your team could start 0-20 and still get a chance, you know? We're like, we're still in it. We just gotta get a couple games together, you know? But that's not the American sport anymore. It's football, and there's not enough games. All the games matter. Every game, they're like, we gotta fire the coach. We gotta fire that guy. I'm gonna go burn his house down right now. We gotta get that court. That's what America's like football now. Like, we don't have any time. They're gonna win. But baseball's like, no, that manager's all right. He's figuring it out. We got a couple guys coming in from AAA. We're gonna figure it out. Baseball's so chill. You can go to the game, you zone out for like 4 innings. You wake up, you're holding a hot dog and 2 beers. Everyone starts singing. Oh, we're singing now. We're singing. Baseball's the best, dude. Baseball is the sport we should be all going after, man. It is. It's the sport. I think we could learn a lot from baseball. It's fine. Easy. Football, they keep trying to fix, and they're like, they keep dying. How do we get them to stop dying? And I'm like, it's the game. Do you watch the game? And they're like, what if they're not as far apart on kickoffs? And there's less room for them to run at them at full blast speed. And they're like, they're still dying. Just later. What if we give them bigger helmets with like bubble wrap on the top? Maybe they're just gonna die later. It's the game. It's the game. It's like you can't make it not dangerous. I wonder if that was like the conversation 100 years ago or 200 years ago when like America's sport was just dueling. And they're like, man, a lot of people are getting shot. What if we make them take 10 steps first? And then they gotta shoot as soon as they turn around. They'd probably miss, right? They'd probably miss. And then the sport got boring and no one duels anymore. That's what's happening with football. It's so dumb. I'm glad you guys like that. I got a couple people clapped at that. He's like, you know what? He didn't have me till he brought up that dueling comparison. And I was like, oh my God, can we vote for him? Is he on the ballot? Yeah, I don't know anything. But I do like baseball. I started watching, I remember the first game I watched on TV and got into was the Little League World Series a couple summers ago. And every time I bring that up, it gets quiet just like that. Because every time I bring up, I watched Little League Baseball, and they're like, were you allowed? You know, it's that kind of energy. And it's like, yeah, it was on TV, all right? I wasn't watching it through a bush. I wasn't it's not like I was in the outfield. And the umpires are like, he's here again! Get him! And it was on ESPN. I was on a Delta flight. It was on the screen. There was nothing else on, so I was watching it. And I remember the game I watched. It was Ecuador against Kaszas. And I remember the game because Ecuador had a chubby pitcher. And I grew up as a chubby kid, so when I saw him, I just connected with him immediately. And I was proud of him. I was like, look at you. You defeated the odds and you're here. You represent your country in the World Series. That's awesome. And he was a pitcher for the team. And he wasn't a good pitcher. I think there was an injury that day. I don't know what happened. I think he was filling in. And he just couldn't get the ball over the plate. And I don't know how much you guys know about baseball, but that's pretty crucial. You got to get the ball somewhere over the plate. And he got it everywhere but the plate. And just every pitch. And he kept walking. It got so bad in the opening inning, he had the bases loaded on walks. And I'm not going to assume you guys know everything there is to know about baseball, but that means no baseball was happening. And one of the teams was doing really good. Really, really good. And I was, at that point, once he got the bases loaded, I'm like, this is where the coach is going to step in and go, hey, I think it's time to go. But he didn't. That coach was like, he'll figure it out. And he didn't. He didn't figure it out. He started walking runs in. But here's the impressive thing, because I'm not ripping on this kid. This is where it impressed me. He's bombing on national television as a 12-year-old, representing his country while the world is watching. And he didn't throw a hissy fit. He didn't start crying. He didn't run off the field like I would have. He kept his cool, and he was just like, how about this one? Each pitch worse than the last. And it wouldn't calm him. It was just one sweat beat. That's all the stress he showed. He's like, how about this one? Even worse. And I was sitting there watching this on a Delta flight, and I'm like, am I watching this 12-year-old boy become a man right now? I think pitching in Little League might be the best training for adulthood any of us could ever have, because that's what adulthood is like. Every day, we're on the mound, and nothing's working. And no one's pulling us out of the game. We're just trapped on the mound. We're stuck. We're up there every day just, I don't have the rent. Bitcoin's down. My wife's gonna leave. And it's just like life, and while you're bombing, all your friends are behind you just watching you bomb. Cheering you on. You got the next one, buddy. And then when you're pitching, you're like, dude, keep that spare bedroom open. You're gonna have a roommate after this game. Baseball is life, man. I think the catchers are our parents. I think that's who the catchers are. They're down there trying to give us a signal, what to do. And what do? Shake them off. Like, I was raised by an immigrant mom, all right? Hardworking immigrant mother, and she was like, maybe you should go to community college, you know? After high school, 2.75 GPA, maybe go to community college. And I'm like, I'm gonna be a comedian. Suck on that, Mom. You know?
So nice to be here. This is great. This isn't my first time in Tucson, but it's my first time playing in a haunted house. So that's pretty exciting. That's where my career is at right now. You know, last night I played in a basement in downtown Phoenix, a desert area that shouldn't have a basement. And they had a basement that we went to through an alley, and tonight we're in a haunted house. This is great. It's wonderful. I love it. By the way, big fan. I love it. This is exactly why, I like hipsters. This is what they do. You know? Like, most people would look at this and be like, tear it down. Tear it down. We're going to make a sharp-angled condo out of this. And not hipsters. Hipsters are like, we can turn this into a hotel. And a music venue. And a bar. And another bar. And a coffee shop. And a bar. More bars. What if you can drink everywhere? Exactly what they did. And I love it. it, because everyone who works here is an authentic hipster. They're not the fake ones who just got the ears for no reason. You know, they weren't trying to fit in. They got them. They're real hipsters. Like, they're polite and not polite, all at the same time. That's a real hipster. Real hipsters have customer service and bad customer service in the same sentence. That's how it is. We checked in, they smiled through a mask. I could tell because the crinkles in the eyes. That's how you can tell when someone smiles with the mask on. And they're like, welcome, and here's the rules. But polite, but rules, and then I'm like, I have a question, and he was gone. So it was like a mixture of welcome and unwelcome, and I like that. That's probably how this place was in the 30s, you know? I think it was nice when John Dillinger showed up here. I called him Don Dillinger because I had one cocktail. That's where I'm at. I'm a lightweight. I'm not eating any bread, so all it takes is one cocktail. You ever not eat bread for a day, and then you're like, oh, I get drunk from sniffing a drink. You need that bread, just so good. But yeah, it's nice we're staying at the hotel, my fiance and I, and we didn't know anything about it, other than it's a cool-looking old classic building. And then while we're in the room, it's just a tiny room with a bed and a little desk. It looks like someplace like Bukowski got drunk and wrote, you know? That's what it looks like up there. And I'm like, ooh, this is artsy. And then we sat down and then quickly found out there's no plugs. There's no... Do you need to charge anything? Well, then you don't. All right? I'm telling you, you don't. There's no plugs. And then she's like Googling the hotel. She's like, this place is cool. And she's like, oh, it says this is one of the most haunted places in the entire country. And I'm like, huh? And I go, how haunted? And she's like, well, there's like a Wikipedia page for like each room, pretty much. And she starts going down the room numbers, going, yeah, you'll wake up with a lady on your bed on that one. This one will lock you in the bathroom. And she's like, I'm waiting for our room number. That's all I'm waiting for. And I'm like, because there's no, you know what's worse than being in a haunted house? Is being in a haunted room. Because where do you go? You know? Like, it's not, there's no like, oh, maybe that's just a shadow. There are no shadows. You're in a small, everything's here, you know? You just gotta run out of there. That's terrifying. And there's no TV. That's usually my defense. I've stayed in places that I assumed was haunted. I stayed at a hotel in Aiken, South Carolina. And I walked in, it looked old, and I asked the lady behind the counter, she's a very nice southern lady. And I was like, when was this place built? She's like, it was built in 1898. And I was like, wow, that's pretty old. I'm like, is it haunted? She's like, well. And I'm like, I'm looking for a hard no right now, man. I'm looking for a stern, you're fine. And she gave me a very loose, well. So that night, I spent the entire night with SportsCenter on the TV, because in my mind, that will keep the ghosts away. In my mind, the ghosts will come by like, oh, he's still watching sports highlights. We'll have to catch him later. There's no TV up there. They're gonna know. Yeah? They're gonna know. We're just ready to be terrified. I wonder, it must be fun being a ghost. You know, because it's not always just scaring people. You just get to watch people when they think they're not being watched. You know, you ever have one of those moments where you got the house to yourself, you're just naked, dancing in front of a mirror, and then your significant other walks in, and you're like, what? I thought Tuesdays were my day, you know, like... That's what ghosts get to see all the time without the interruption. Just like, wow, that's where you're taking this, okay? Like, before I came down, my fiance was helping me put Vaseline on my tape, because I worked out this morning. We ran on the treadmill, and we had breakfast afterwards, so all my sweat dried while I was sitting, and I got a little rash in the tape. And then I'm like, how am I supposed to do this show? These people are expecting me to be all suave, and I got a rashy tape. So there I am, just doing like a yoga pose in the bed. She's just putting a little bit of Vaseline on my tape, and I'm like, John Dillinger's in the corner right now. This is why I won't leave. This is why I stay. Like I'm gonna go to boring ass heaven or hell, and I'm staying right here. Watch a grown man.